The story starts with a group of friends watching a football game. When their team scores the winning goal, one of them cheers excitedly. To celebrate, they go to a private club. While having fun, they talk about going back to school the next day. All of them are second-year college students, thinking about their futures and studies. The main character, Yatora, steps out of the bar and notices a special building. Its round shape and blue gate catch his eye. The next day at school, Yatora finishes an exam. A friend asks him how it went, and Yatora answers confidently, saying he studied hard. Then they talk about what they will do after school. Suddenly, a girl walks by, and Yatora notices her unique appearance. He asks his friends if they know her, but they don't. The conversation changes, and Yatora goes to his next class, an art class he doesn't enjoy. He thinks art isn't for him and doesn't see the point of it. His friend suggests giving it a try, but Yatora ignores him. In class, the teacher scolds him for smoking, and Yatora's friend, nervous, leaves his cigarette pack behind. After school, Yatora goes home. His mother asks how his day was, and he says it was tiring. He goes to his room to rest and later studies, thinking about his goal of getting into a top university in Japan. But he wonders if he's doing it for himself or just to meet others' expectations. While studying, Yatora remembers his friend's forgotten cigarette pack at school. The next day, he goes back to get it and sees a painting that catches his attention. The painting, of a girl with golden and green colors, sparks his curiosity. A girl comes up to him and invites him to join the art class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hesitant, Yatora asks if she painted the piece. She says yes, hands him the cigarette pack, and tells him not to leave things behind. They argue a little, but the teacher stops them and calms them down. The teacher asks Yatora if he likes art, and Yatora says it's only a little interesting to him. She tells him to follow his true passions, not just go through life. Yatora ignores her advice and leaves. That night, he watches another football game with his friends, celebrating their team's win. But inside, Yatora feels uneasy, thinking about the day. Later, he steps outside with a flashlight, lost in thought. The story continues as Yatora finds himself near the same building he had admired before. Its design catches his attention again. But his thoughts are interrupted when his friends call him to help another friend who's too drunk to stand. While helping him, Yatora asks, "Do you remember that girl we saw?" His friend nods and says, "She was really beautiful, right?" Yatora agrees, feeling shy. Later, Yatora sits outside with his diary. He hears a voice and looks up to see a girl painting. It's someone he's seen before at the art club. Her name is Mori. Curious about her painting, Yatora goes over and compliments it. Mori thanks him but humbly says, "I'm not that good. I just love painting and put my heart into it. That's why it turns out well." Yatora, feeling bad about their earlier argument, apologizes. Mori says it's no big deal. She takes out more colors to paint and asks Yatora about his favorite colors. Yatora replies, "I like calm, cool colors, especially blue." Mori smiles and encourages him to try painting. Yatora is unsure but finally picks up a brush and starts mixing blue and green. He begins painting the building he noticed before, blending his imagination with what he sees. As he paints, it feels like he's floating through the building, almost like a dream. His friends notice his work and are impressed. One of them says, "You've made something great." Yatora is asked by Mori to help set up paintings on the wall. He agrees, and while they work, the teacher tells Yatora that if he keeps trying hard, he might become a great artist one day. That evening, Yatora has dinner with his family and tells his mom everything is going well. Later, he tries to study but gets distracted. He sees a tissue box and, on impulse, starts sketching it with a pencil. He feels happy while drawing but wonders if it's a waste of time. Despite his doubts, he keeps going because he enjoys it. This is the start of Yatora's journey into art and discovering more about himself. The next day at school, Yatora shows his sketches to his art teacher. She says they're good but could be better with more practice. Yatora explains that it took a lot of time, but he enjoyed it. The teacher suggests he take art more seriously. Yatora is unsure but says he's thinking about signing up for art classes. The teacher asks if he's rushing, but Yatora says he's sure. He asks if becoming an artist is a good idea, and she tells him that success in art depends on how much effort he puts in. Yatora feels encouraged and decides to follow his passion for art, realizing it started when he painted the blue building. Yatora happily signs up for art classes. He thinks about how art can be hard to understand, but with time, people can learn to appreciate it. In his first art class, Yatora introduces himself and says he's in 10th grade. Two classmates joke about whether he's serious about art, but Yatora says he loves art and wants to learn. The classmates think he might be okay at it. The teacher explains they'll practice sketching objects and working on their own. She shows an example, and the students follow her lead. Yatora notices he doesn't have all the supplies, but a classmate offers him some materials. He thanks her, and she kindly says, "It's no big deal." As everyone sketches, Yatora watches one of the best students in the class and realizes how much effort it takes to be good at art. The class works quietly, and Ayukawa, a student, organizes her materials in a special way. Yatora asks her if he's holding the pencil right, and her advice helps a little, though it's still hard for him. He keeps practicing and manages to draw something decent. The teacher helps the students, and Yatora, even though he's struggling, keeps asking questions to improve. Later, he takes a break and watches Ayukawa as she works carefully. The teacher talks about the importance of balance, direction, and texture in art. Yatora feels inspired but also a bit intimidated by Ayukawa's talent. At home, Yatora thinks about his day while showering. He wonders why the teacher gave him so much attention, thinking maybe it was because he was new. He feels frustrated and tries to understand why she treated him that way. He also thinks about Ayukawa, who seemed distant at first but is now so focused and skilled. The next day, Yato's mom finds the registration form for the art class in his room. She's surprised but doesn't say anything right away. She decides to wait and see if Yato is serious about art. In class, Yato talks to Ayukawa while she's practicing. He compliments her work and admits he needs to practice a lot to catch up with her and the others. Ayukawa is surprised by his honesty and appreciates his dedication. She reminds him not to overthink things. Yato reassures her, saying he loves art and wants to get better. Yato starts thinking about how art has changed his life. Every time he paints or sketches, it feels like entering a magical world where he can create anything. Art gives him a sense of joy and purpose that nothing else does. One evening, Yato's mom enters his room and sees his paintings. She's amazed at how beautiful they are and realizes how much Yato cares about art. She quietly acknowledges that her son is truly passionate about it. In class, the teacher shows everyone's artwork. Yato's classmates are impressed with his painting because he finished it in just one day. Some joke about how much time they spent on their pieces compared to Yato's quick work. The teacher announces that Ayukawa is graduating and has applied to a prestigious university. Everyone congratulates her and wishes her luck. Yato is inspired by her journey and promises to keep working hard to improve his skills. Later, Yaka looks at his art class registration form, unsure if he should ask his mom to sign it. He knows she doesn't support his interest in art and is worried she might say no. Ayuka encourages Yaku, telling him her parents let her pursue her passion. Yaku feels conflicted but knows he has to decide soon. At one point, Maru talks to Yaku and asks what he's thinking about. He tries to avoid the question, but Maru gives him advice, telling him she believes in his potential. She talks about her dream of becoming a teacher at a prestigious university, and Yaku supports her, saying she'll definitely reach her goals. Maru then creates a beautiful drawing for Yaku, saying it's a wish for his success. Yaku is touched by her gesture, thanks her, and promises to make a drawing for her one day in return. That night, Yaku goes home and shows his mom a painting he made of her. Surprised and impressed, his mother listens as Yaku explains how painting helps him express his feelings. He tells her that painting has taught him patience and focus, and he asks for her support in following his dream. Until now, Yaku's mom realizes it's the right time to share her thoughts. She talks about how trying drawing made her see new things, like how hard her hands worked. She understands that continuing to draw helped her notice things in life she had missed before. At dinner, she reflects on how she never really thought about her family or herself until now. Her mom becomes emotional, and Yaku realizes that he wouldn't have had these thoughts if he hadn't kept drawing. He tells her that he can't move forward without her support because he needs her permission and encouragement to keep going. His mom reassures him that he doesn't need to worry about her. Yaku feels grateful that his mom recognizes his efforts. The story ends with a graduation ceremony where the students, including Maru, celebrate what they've achieved. Maru receives a bouquet from her friends, and they wish her good luck for her future. She promises that one day she will design a bouquet. During the ceremony, Maru and her friends thank their teacher and take a group photo.